This sport is going to go big in 2024. Based on $300,000 tech which lets you emulate snowboarding on roads, making anything like this, or this into a reality, there is just no way this sport doesn't take off. And with worldwide events getting started right now, this is a chance that you do not want to be missing. And for those of you that are saying, "But that's just a skateboard," well, the fact is, we've ran the tests.
I got your test results. You're positive.
Learning this insane kind of skateboard actually teaches you to snowboard, making it an absolute game changer for anyone who lives in a city or not near mountains who want to learn to snowboard before ever hitting the slopes. Welcome back to the Easy Riders channel for your weekly freeboarding advert, where I'm showing how incredibly underrated these road snowboards are and how they are definitely going to go viral in 2024. We'll be exploring the city, discovering new spots and new tricks if you've already got a freeboard, and going over the best setups if you don't have one already. Alright, so we are back and we are going to be turning all the local roads into snow slopes with the Freebord G3R this time. I haven't ridden it for a while, so I'm very excited to be back on it, and I'm going to be showing you how this sport is going to absolutely be taking over in 2024. With all of the events this summer, it's a very good time to start practicing if you have a freeboard, and if you don't, it's the best time to get started. And I'll be showing you how to ride it, some tricks that I've been working on, and a lot more. So let's get straight to it. So as a lot of my regular viewers will know, I've been using the Freebord 5X as my main board recently, mostly because I've been doing a lot of downhill and it's just so perfectly built for that kind of riding. It's also the board that gives the basis for the title of this video, because as a lot of you will know, it raised an incredible $283,000 through crowdfunding on Indiegogo. It's by far the easiest board to get your hands on because you can actually buy it new, and it's hard to argue with the fact that it's setting the line for the future of snowboarding the streets. The split truck system is incredible technology and it really does feel like you're riding on snow, but I'm sure it's out of a lot of people's price ranges, and so that's why we're riding the G3R today. So that even if you've only got a budget of about $100, you can still get into freeboarding this summer. The G3R is also perfect for practicing because you can really slam it about, and so that's why we warmed up with a bit of freestyle. Now, as a lot of you will know, I've been working on Shifties a lot recently, which is a trick inspired from snowboarding. They're a fantastic trick to mix in after spins or just on their own, but I recently wondered that it might be cool to do a sort of 180 into switch after a shifty. It's a nice little trick combo that you should definitely try out if you have a freeboard. You do the shifty as normal, but at the point where you normally turn your arms to spin back, midway through you jump up and do the 180 back into switch. This is one of the nice aspects about freeboarding, is that a lot of it still remains undiscovered, because although I'm sure someone has done this trick before, there are a lot of tricks which definitely haven't been done before and are just waiting for a new rider like you to discover them. It's also nice to think that next time I go snowboarding, I'll be able to use these shifties in my runs. And it also goes to show that you could do a lot better than I did on my first 4 days snowboarding, knowing about these shifties as well. Freeboard really does seem to be the gift that keeps on giving, especially with regards to snowboarding. I mean, it is just crazy that you could feasibly do a trick like this without ever having gone snowboarding before if you learn it first on a freeboard. I mean, it blows my mind every time I say it, and it's only one of the reasons why I think that freeboarding should take off this year. Practicing these shifties has really made it clear that if you're a beginner learning to freeboard, they're a fantastic way to get into doing overslides. They're a lot easier to learn for one. You can also see in the direction that you're going while you're doing it, unlike an overslide, and because of the similarity of really locking into your toe side edge while going backwards, they end up using a lot of the same muscles, making them a great trick to learn even if you're a total beginner. A more advanced trick that I've been working on is to really crouch down while doing an overslide and looking completely backwards to the direction that I'm riding. It's also fun to try and not lock in the position of your hands at the same time. As always, I do tend to catch the edge in the process of learning these tricks. I fall off quite often while learning new tricks, but definitely don't let this put you off, because if you wear wrist guards and a helmet, it really isn't much of a problem. Alright, well that was a lot of fun. We've hit a couple of spots, done a warm-up and tried to pick up some speed, but the freeboard kind of slipped out from under the ground. I think it might have something to do with the fact that the road is incredibly smooth, but also quite bumpy. This kind of brings us to one of the huge advantages of the freeboard, which I mentioned quite a lot, and that is that you can really cut your speed and have so much control in basically all circumstances. So just then, as the board kind of slipped out, and I was going pretty fast for a residential road, I didn't feel that scared because I knew that I could stop at any point. Now, obviously, as a beginner, this probably won't be the case, but you really do just practice stopping, and once it clicks, it's so much fun fun to ride the freeboard. I should quickly mention that the best thing to do when the board loses control like this is to really not freak out. This is definitely easier said than done, but the more you freak out, the more likely you are to change your position and bail. Whereas if you respond to this loss of control with confidence, you might actually manage to not fall off. It's in these situations where freeboarding is far more of a psychological sport than a physical one. You have to stay pretty focused even if the road hits you with something unexpected. And with that, we left the current spot in search of new ones, with a little bit of riding down a narrow pavement. Narrow roads like this are always a lot of fun, and as you feel more comfortable with the freeboard, you'll start to go down them a little bit faster each time. And that's not to mention that getting used to going down narrow roads is really useful for passing cars. After exploring a few new roads, we got to a nice curved road where I tried to hold my toe side edge as long as possible, as you can see here. I hold it into the first drift and all the way into the second drift, and then tried to spin out there. Alright, so I know a lot of people have been wondering what kind of freeboard setup I have and how I set it up. So firstly would be the hooks. Now I would recommend when you set them up, you really cannot go wrong with having the hooks like this, and effectively you just max them out on either end. So you kind of max them out so that they're pointing as much like this as possible. And then I tend to ride the blues with the Boro centers, and I just max out the rocker. So that means that I put them on the lowest possible notch so that you've got the most gap, or rocker as they call it. And other than that, I mean, you can't really go wrong with all kinds of boards. You know, if you're doing Freeboard 5X, Freeboard 5, G3R. I really rate G3R. I think my favorites are G3R and 5X. I also put a little bit of a thin layer of rubber in between the base plate and the board, because otherwise the base plates, at least on the G3R, break quite a lot. Now obviously the channel has been pushing the Freeboard 5X recently, and that's because I really think we need to push freeboarding as much as we can. They host all the events, so any way you can support them is fantastic. But if you can't afford the brand new freeboards, just get a second-hand one. Like, you can pick up a board like this, basically the same thing, maybe the sensors won't be as good, or the edge wheels, for like less than $100. Roughly speaking, if you're buying a second-hand board, only pay about $70 to $80 if the wheels aren't blue, and you know, only $110 to $120 if they are blue. So that's basically a buying guide for those of you that don't want to buy brand new. But obviously, if you can afford to buy brand new, then definitely support Freeboard. They are a completely sick company, and I really think 2024 is going to be a big year for Freeboard. So support the movement as much as you can, whether that's just by joining in, by getting a second-hand board, or getting a brand new board and helping Freeboard out. And with some time practicing to go down the hills as fast as possible, I got to thinking about what freeboarding really means to me, and to probably a lot of you guys watching. So what's the real reason why I think freeboard is going to take off this year? Well, look, it's kind of in the name. On the surface, the skateboard does kind of move in every direction, and so obviously it's free, and you know, it's kind of frictionless. But the thing that you'll probably find once you get into it is it's very freeing to have a freeboard, or you know, a skateboard or longboard. I'm sure it's very similar. But the fact is, with the freeboard, because of the fact that you can brake at any time and go down literally any hill. You know, we've ridden down the steepest road in England. I'm sure you could go down the steepest road in the world with it. There's just no problem. Steepness isn't a problem. Narrow roads are not a problem. Bumpy roads are basically not a problem. So you can kind of go down everything on these. You can just pick up the board and go and explore your local area. I found that with the freeboard, I've been so much more active in exploring where I live. It's just fantastic. And that's not even mentioning the benefits that actually learning it's really fun. Improving is really fun. It's a very fun hobby in general. That's not mentioning like probably the biggest part, which is how insanely awesome the freeboard events are. So yeah, I think that's kind of all I can say as to why freeboarding is amazing. And this last year, learning how to do it's been, you know, thoroughly enjoyable. They're just sick, honestly. And anyone who knows how to freeboard will stand by that. So thank you very much for watching. I hope that you've enjoyed this little adventure and it's taught you about freeboarding, which by all measures is unbelievably underrated. As always, if you do want to pick up your own freeboard, then I have the affiliate link below, in which case you'd be supporting the channel and also picking up your own lift pass to all of your local spots. Otherwise, thank you very much for sticking around. I hope you enjoyed the video and have a good one.